Hello everyone, welcome back from the international break. This is Moneyball FPL, where we look at data-driven analytics to choose the best possible team for the upcoming game weeks. Today we are looking at game week 4, and we have some stats to analyze among forward midfielders, defenders, and goalkeepers to help you make your decisions when choosing the ideal FPL team. So without further ado, let's go into the analysis. Firstly, taking a look at the forwards, we can see that there are two standout options in this position, João Pedro and Haaland. So if you look at the scatter plot diagram, you want to focus on strikers that have the highest PPM, price per million, points per million, as well as the highest expected goals per 90 minutes. So essentially the strikers in the top right area. And there are two forwards that kind of meet this criteria, João Pedro and Haaland. João Pedro has been a very clinical finisher so far, scoring the highest amount of points per million among forwards, and he's also a very high quality budget, decent option for managers. At this point of recording, there's some doubts over his fitness as he returned from the international break late with his team, so his minutes might be limited in the current game week, but we'll continue to look for updates. And I do think that he is still a very good option in the long run, although he may have limited minutes this game week. The other good forward in this area would be Erling Haaland. We can see that he leads the forwards in terms of expected goals involvement. Despite his high price of $14.1 million, he has been on the receiving end of many big chances, and Man City are always going to be a good team attacking wise and create many big chances, so he does have a lot of potential when it comes to scoring points. So moving along the pecking order, there are three forwards that I would rank below Pedro and Haaland, which are Richarlison, Ekitike, and Chris Wood. However, all three of them actually are at risk due to various factors. Richarlison and Ekitike are both rotation risks, with Spurs and Liverpool signing forwards in their respective positions. So Richarlison may have competition from Kolo Muani as well as Matty Tell, while Ekitike may have competition from Alexander Isak. So their minutes may be limited and their rotation risk. Chris Wood, on the other hand, there's a new Forest manager under Ange Postecoglou, and so he might not fit the way that Ange likes to play in terms of the counter-attacking style. He doesn't really have that pace. So we'll see how he fits into the Forest setup, but his potential may be limited. So I would actually rank him lower in terms of the forwards for now. So if we move on, we do see there are other options, Gyökeres, Bowen, Mateta, Watkins, and Ivan Nilsson. Gyökeres has a couple of tough fixtures ahead of him. Bowen hasn't received a lot of chances as West Ham have been kind of terrible this season. Mateta has good fixtures the next two game weeks against Sunderland and Burnley, so he may be performing well, but after that, he also does suffer from a lack of creativity and options from Crystal Palace after Eze has left to join Arsenal. Watkins is the last forward, and he has not performed very well this season as the entire Villa team has struggled. The last forward I would like to talk about is Ivan Nilsson. And although he hasn't been very strong and clinical and scoring a lot of points, I do think he has potential over the next run of good fixtures against Brighton at home, Newcastle at home, and Leeds away. If Bournemouth create a lot of good chances, he could be on the receiving end of some points to come. So next, moving on to the midfielders. There are couple of decent value and creative threats. So Enzo is the standout here with 3.79 points per million. and 7.61 expected goals per 90 minutes. He's also the top ranking midfielder. As you can see, he's closest to the top right quadrant, and close behind him are Semenyo and Grealish. Fernandes is also an option to highlight because he has the highest expected goals per 90 at 0.83. Maybe because he is on penalties, and also he is a creative option for Man United. So there are other forwards also. There are also other midfielders in this list. Dango, Johnson, Gakpo, Kudus, and Reindeers all have similar stats so far. I do like Dango among the bunch because after his move to Brentford, he has been looking really refreshed and rejuvenated, and he wants to really establish himself in this Brentford team. And he looks really hungry for goals this season after the transfer from Bournemouth, where he wasn't the first option. I think he wants to perform well, and I do think he has a good chance of doing so. So the last midfielder on this list will be Mohamed Salah, who hasn't been performing very well this season and hasn't been able to justify his price tag of 14.5 million. However, he does have a couple of good fixtures over the next 2 game weeks, so we'll continue to monitor his performance, and there's a chance that he might be able to see a pickup in the next few game weeks. Looking at the defenders, we do see some standout options, Calafiori and Timber, who have both great attacking threat and clean sheet potential. Chelsea also have been very good defense this season. There are 2 names on this chart, Cucurella and Chalobah. Chalobah has slightly more higher expected goals per season, have good expected goal involvement, and a lower price tag compared to Cucurella. We also do see 2 Crystal Palace options, Lacroix and Gehi, who have been rather solid performers this season, as well as Bournemouth, Senesi, Livramento from Newcastle. Also do have very low expected goals conceded per 90 minutes. So in the case of defenders, you want to look at the bottom right quadrant with the highest price per million, as well as the lowest expected goals conceded per 90 minutes. So the standout options will be those that are highlighted just now. Timber, Calafiori, Chalobah, Senesi, and Livramento. There are 2 other options, Pedro Porro and Aït-Nouri, who have quite decent attacking tracks playing as fullbacks. However, their defensive stats hasn't really been impressive this season, and there's been quite a large amount of expected goals conceded for these 2 teams, Man City and Spurs. So lastly, we look at the goalkeepers. There are a few options here, Vicario, Pope, Raya, Sanchez, and Pickford. I think Spurs under Thomas Frank have looked much more organized compared to last season, and so Vicario would be the top pick among the goalkeepers. As well, on the bottom right, he has the highest PPM as well as the lowest expected goals conceded. However, other strong defenses to look out for are Newcastle, Arsenal, and Chelsea. And if you have a backup goalkeeper, Dubravka at 4 million would be a good backup option since you're not going to play him anyway. So let's take a look at a suggested game week for wildcard team. We can see that these options have been highlighted from the previous few slides. For the defense, you should target looking at Arsenal defense against Forest. I do think that there's a strong clean sheet potential. Arsenal have been very strong defensively, and Calafiori, Timber have been strong attacking threats as well. And so the other defense will be made out of Chalobah against Brentford, Senesi against Brighton, Livramento against Wolves home, and I would actually play Calafiori, Timber, and Livramento in a back 3 as they have the highest clean sheet potential. There's also a few other Chelsea players, Enzo and João Pedro, in the lineup, and Chelsea do look like they are improving under head coach Maresca. So we also see Bournemouth have a good run of fixtures ahead against Brighton, Newcastle, and Leeds, and so 3 players from Brighton are actually in this lineup. Senesi, Semenyo, and Ivan Nilsson. So this would be the suggested lineup. And if you take a look at my team currently, I do have quite a bit of issues. I haven't started the game week off to the best abilities, and I've been dropping points over several bad decisions. However, I'm saving my transfer for the game week 6 fixture swing, where I potentially would seek to change Mohamed Salah for Erling Haaland, and fund the switch through several other transfers. I also would like to monitor the performance of my key assets, Watkins, Wood, and Words, all starting with W, but they haven't performed up to my expectations, and I will be considering moving them forward. So thanks for listening to this FPL analysis, and I hope that you'll be able to make good decisions before the game week 4 transfer deadline this afternoon. Thank you.